Jonathan J. Pollard, a former intelligence analyst for the United States government, as a part of a plea deal in 1987, pleaded guilty to spying for and providing top-secret classified information to Israel. He was sentenced to life in prison for violations of Espionage Act, was released on November 20, 2015, in accordance with federal government guidelines in place at the time of sentencing. He was born in 1954 in Galveston, Texas, to a Jewish family. His family moved to South Bend, Indiana in 1961. His father was an award-winning microbiologist who taught at Notre Dame. He made his first trip to Israel in 1970 as a part of a science program, visiting the Weizmann Institute of Science in Rehovot, where he was hospitalized after fighting another student. He attended Stanford University, where he completed a degree in political science in 1976. After leaving graduate school, he began applying for intelligence service jobs. He was turned down for the CIA job after taking a polygraph test and admitting to using drugs in 1974 and 1978. On September 19, 1979, he was hired by the Navy Field Operation Intelligence Office as an intelligence specialist. He was assigned to temporary duty at another NIC department. 2 months after he was hired, the technical director of NOSIC requested that he be terminated. Jonathan had offered to start a back-channel operation with South African Intelligence Service. He was reassigned to a Naval Human Intelligence Operation Task Force 168. He initiated a meeting with Admiral Shapiro of the Naval Intelligence Command about an idea he had for TF-168 in South Africa. After the meeting, the Admiral immediately ordered that his security clearances be revoked and that he be reassigned to a non-sensitive position. Shapiro's order to remove Pollard's security clearance slipped through the cracks because of the job transfer. Thus, Pollard was given a polygraph test by the CIA. The CIA found him to be at risk and recommended that he not be used in any intelligence collection operations. He was administered a polygraph test. The test was inconclusive. The agent that administered the polygraph test recommended against Pollard's being granted access to highly classified information. His clearance was reduced to secret. He filed grievances and threatened lawsuits to recover his SCI clearance. In 1982, a psychiatrist evaluated and cleared and upgraded him to SCI. In October 1984, he applied and was accepted into a position as an analyst for the Naval Intelligence Command. Avim Sela, a combat veteran of the Israeli Air Force. Pollard told Sela that he worked for the U.S. Naval Intelligence, where the U.S. intelligence was withholding information from Israel and offered to work as a spy. In June 1984, Pollard started passing classified information to Sela. He was paid $10,000 in cash. He received a salary that eventually reached $2,500 a month and tens of thousands of dollars in cash for hotels, meals, and jewelry. The Naval Criminal Investigative Service investigator Ronald Olive has alleged that Pollard passed classified information to South Africa and Pakistan on several occasions. Pollard also stole classified documents relating to China on behalf of his wife to advance her business. Investigating authorities discovered them when Pollard's espionage activities came to light. Pollard was stopped and questioned by FBI agents while removing classified material from his work premise. His story was that he was taking it to another analyst at a different agency for consultation. His story was checked and it was found to be false. He requested a phone call to his wife to tell her where he was. Pollard used the code word cactus, signaling that he was in trouble and that she should remove all classified material from their home. Pollard agreed to a search of his home, which turned up a few documents which his wife had missed. A few days later, he was asked by his superiors to take a polygraph test. Instead, he admitted to illegally passing documents. Pollard was put under surveillance but not taken into custody. He and his wife tried to gain asylum at the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. on November 21, 1985. They were turned away and FBI agents arrested Pollard as soon as they left embassy property. Then he evaded an FBI agent who was following her. She was arrested the next day, November 22nd, 1985. Authorities reported the disclosure of classified American documents by Pollard to a Royal Australian Navy officer. Pollard admitted only to passing a single classified document to the Australian. Later, he changed his story and claimed that his superiors ordered him to share the information. The Pollard sentencing took place on March 4, 1987. The prosecutor recommended that Pollard receive only a substantial number of years in prison. The judge, noting that Pollard had violated multiple conditions of the plea agreement, he imposed a life sentence on the basis of classified damage assessment memorandum. He was then moved from FCC Pittsburgh in Virginia to a federal prison hospital in Springfield, Missouri to undergo a battery of mental health tests. He was transferred to the federal maximum security prison in Marion, Illinois in June 1988. In 1993, to FCI Bunter Medium at the Bunter Federal Correction Complex in North Carolina. Ann Pollard was sentenced to 5 years, then paroled after 3.5 years due to health problems. Pollard filed for divorce after Ann's release. After his divorce, he married Esther Elaine Zeitz, a Canadian teacher and activist based in Toronto who had organized a campaign for his release. Ann Pollard immigrated to Israel after her parole. Laws in effect at the time of Pollard's sentencing mandated that inmates serving life sentences be paroled after 30 years of incarceration if no significant prison regulations have been violated, and if there was a reasonable probability that the inmate would not reoffend. The U.S. Parole Commission announced on July 28, 2015 that he'd be released on November 20, 2015. Under the terms of release, he must remain on parole for 1 year and within the United States for a minimum of 5 years. His whereabouts and computer usage will be electronically monitored, and press and interviews and internet communications are forbidden. On November 20th, he relocated to an apartment in New York City. He is the only American who has received a life sentence for passing classified information to an ally of the U.S. He declared that he committed espionage only because the American intelligence establishment collectively endangered Israel's security by withholding crucial information. He was granted Israeli citizenship in 1995. Opposing any form of clemency was many retired and active U.S. officials. They maintained that the damage to U.S. national security due to Pollard's espionage was far more severe, wide-ranging, and enduring than publicly acknowledged. He revealed aspects of the American intelligence gathering process. He sold numerous closely guarded state secrets and disclosed the names of thousands of people who had cooperated with U.S. intelligence agencies. He admitted shopping his services successfully, in some cases, to other countries. He said, "My sentence did not reflect proportional justice. My sentence reflected political vengeance." Pollard's spying as included, among other things, obtaining and copying the latest version of Raisin, a 10-volume manual comprehensively detailing America's global electronic service network. The full extent of the information Pollard passed to Israel has still not been officially revealed. Pollard's story inspired the movie The Patriots. His story inspired an off-stage Broadway play called The Law of Return. An Israeli-owned apartment building is named after Pollard. A street artist added Pollard's portrait to his collection of spray paint art.